The foundation of my first book, I didn't sign up for this, is exactly what I'm going to talk about here, and that is interdependence. So we are living in this time, in this culture where so many people come to me saying, I don't want to be codependent. We're fearful of codependency. And so then what's happened is we have swung completely into this counterdependence or hyper independence. And our goal actually in partnerships is the balance between autonomy and independence and interconnectedness and intimacy. And it sounds easy when we say this because what it comes together is called interdependence. It sounds easy to bring it together, but it's actually quite difficult because the practice of this is I am me and you are you, and we are both okay. And so how do we actually do that co-creation piece? So for parents, I often talk about what is it that fills you up as an individual? That is your own autonomy, your own identity. And we also know that that freedom, that play, that curiosity with yourself is part of intimacy as the whole picture. So when you know who you are, you then can separate from the relationship. You can go do your thing and then come back together, and that fills up the interconnectedness. So for example, with couples, I'll specifically say one night a week, mom goes out, parent A goes out, and the other night a week, parent B goes out. If it's possible, I know in those newborn stages, especially if you happen to have a barnacle baby like I did my second time, or you're nursing, all of the scenarios that show up, it can be difficult. But so earlier in those postpartum days, how is it then that you can carve out, maybe it's just 10 minutes just for you? And what is it that would really fill you up then? And then as baby can go stretches without you, without feeding, then what's the 30 minutes? What's the 60 minutes? And then what's the 2 hours that you leave? Not to go, and I know moms do this a lot, not to go to the grocery store and get the few items to make the dinner the next night, but to go sit in the library and browse books, to go sit in the coffee shop and have a tea and read something that fills you up, or to try that class or the new path that you want to go for a walk, something that is just for you. That's the first piece. And then the next question really is, how are we defining our relationship? What does it look like now that I'm discovering these new parts of me and bringing them to you? And Olivia, that comes back to that curiosity and not the defensiveness or criticism that can so easily show up. Because if we then view each other as growing and evolving, as you constantly are, then the question is, how do we re-meet each other? Oh, interesting. You're discovering this new part of you. Tell me more about that. And even just as a couple, to name the identity crisis that you might be having, or the identity questionings, the identity questions that you're having, then that's a space of connection as a couple. And that, I think, just really creates connection in so many different ways.
That's honestly, that response has made me think of a number of different kind of stories and things that I experienced myself. I mean, firstly, I think partly I had to learn to ask for help. So I'm someone, like you said, in that when you're thinking about being codependent or hyper independent, I was someone that was like, I could do it all. I'm the mum. I need to, get this ready, get that ready, do the wash, go to the shops. And it actually took me becoming a mother and maybe going through that first initial struggle to realize that actually it's okay to say, hey, can you do this? And then work as a couple about like how you split those responsibilities, which actually leads me on to the next question. But before I go there, I also want to share with the listeners that in terms of things that fill my cup up, both my partner and I are very into exercise. It makes us feel good. And even when you're feeling exhausted and you're like, I'm not sure that's what I want to do, what we got into a really good habit of early on was once a week, like allowing the other partner to go off and exercise freely and get that kind of headspace. But we also bought a running buggy, which when our baby was 6 months old was a life changer, because my partner Justin could take Alfie out running and give me 40 minutes at home to relax. And like you mentioned, it wasn't always easy. I'd be like, I'll do the dishwasher, I'll change the bed sheets. But it was like, actually, no, just sit and read your book. And it certainly took time. So I think that's something that I'm still learning about myself.
What's interesting about that, Olivia, is I remember in my postpartum days, someone saying to me, you can't have it all at the same time. And in the sense that, and because truly I was trying to do all of it. And I was trying to have a clean house. I was trying to have connection with both my kids, and I was trying to have connection with my partner. And in accepting that I'm just one person, it forced me to reprioritize what really matters. And there are some moments. So I always encourage moms, slow down for a moment and ask yourself this: what do I need right now to be well? Sometimes it is cleaning the kitchen so that the next morning I will feel better. Other times it's leaving the kitchen and going to sit on the couch and connect with my partner. And that is just the moment to moment choices, because there's no guilt in there. It's the acceptance. You are not supposed to do it all. You can't have it all at the same time.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And linking to how you can kind of split roles with your partner, and how you can manage that, particularly when one partner might be returning to work. So, how can a couple navigate sharing the load when that partner is on parental leave and the other one is working traditional demanding hours? So, for instance, in London with a long commute, that could be anywhere from leaving the house before 8 a.m. and not going back till past baby's bedtime, past 7. So, if you're the person on parental leave, arguably it is, your job to be doing it during the day, but parenting, as you know, is round the clock. So how can you manage that without either partner getting into burnout, and how do you split that 24/7 demand without exhausting one another?
One of the most powerful mind shifts is to go from you versus me to you and me against the problem. And the problem really is, how do we manage the household? How do we remain a team and do this so that neither one of us are saying, well, I'm more tired than you are. You're both tired. You are both working. And it's so important to recognize that the person who stays at home, the work that they're doing allows the other person to be out of the home working. You are both playing really important roles. And so that means when your partner comes home at 7, yes, they've just worked that full day plus the commute. And so has the person at home. It's then checking in with each other and seeing how can we support each other moving forward. That's a more flexible approach. I know there are lots of really great strategies. So I recommend fair play to couples, looking at different tasks and how you divide tasks. And really dividing those tasks is about taking full accountability and ownership of what that task is from start to finish, meaning that you are doing all the thinking work ahead of time, you're doing all the execution work for that task. So for example, if you are the meal planner, you're the one who owns the meals, you are cooking, you wouldn't just show up to the kitchen and start to cook. You actually take inventory. You're the one going to get the groceries, you're then the one planning the meals, and then you're cooking it. So that's the execution piece. That works for some families where they give a task completely to one person, but in other families, there's more flexibility. And I think when it comes to this conversation around sharing the load, one of the best things you can do is to check in with each other frequently and regularly. I recommend to couples that you meet once a week. Maybe it's every Sunday night, and you talk about what's coming up this week, because every week, every day changes for you. Is there an additional appointment? You're bringing baby to the well baby appointment at 6 months. Okay, that means you're out of the home for half the day. So then what do you need to support you for that? And how can we then do it together? So checking in and treating your partnership like a business and having those regular meetings and forecasting. What do we need to do and what needs to change this week? And how can we support each other to do that?
Yeah, that's really helpful. I think when it comes specifically back to food, we have a big magnet on our fridge. So while we both are massive foodies, we love to cook, we love and enjoy our meals together. So we didn't want that to completely fizzle out. And don't get me wrong, we now have a lot quicker meals some nights. But what we do is we make sure it's all written up on the fridge, and then it means that either partner can cook because they know the food's in there. So that's kind of like, it's not fully my responsibility. We kind of share it in that way. So I could be settling Alfie to sleep, and then when I come down, Justin's cooking, and I'm like, wow, we've definitely nailed that element anyway.
That's a fantastic, right. And that's what works for both of you.
Yes.
And it is shared. And so I think the other piece in here to label is this idea of noticing the other person.
Yeah.
And so your partner comes home after work and then hears you doing bedtime with Alfie. And then he's not going to flop on the couch and put his feet up and think, well, I'll just wait until Olivia comes down and then we'll do dinner. He's now the one initiating because he's aware of your context. And that really is the deeper relational piece here. The deeper relational message is, who am I and who are you? Where am I at? Where am I in this moment? Where are you in that moment? And how can we then do this together?